Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us. I am Miranda, host of That Spooky Life podcast, and joining me today are author Dianah Abernathy and narrator Lou Petrella. We are going to be talking about Dianah's new book, Seal Evil, The Nine Gates, and the wonderful audiobook that Lou has narrated. Hi, guys. Please introduce yourselves.
Hi, I am author Dianah Brock, publishing with Abernathy Books, which is the company I've started online.
And I'm Lou Petrella, the narrator for Seal Evil, The Nine Gates. And it's about my fourth or fifth audiobook. So
Excellent.
Yeah.
I have been listening to it, and I have to say, if you guys haven't listened to it yet, you definitely should. I have very much been enjoying it. I thank you very much for letting me interview you guys. I'm excited to get you guys some extra publicity for all of this. So we're going to jump right into the questions, and I have them here, so I will be reading them as I go.
Alrighty.
So, question number 1. First of all, tell us about the book, Seal Evil, The Nine Gates.
Well, Seal Evil, The Nine Gates follows the story of 4, because I have a surprise in that book. So 4 wonderfully, supernaturally talented people who live the hidden life of real-life superheroes with their abilities. And they are brought together by a biblical prophecy to try to save the world using these
little things like,
Oh, yeah. You got little things like one of them can manifest ice, or the other one can just, shoot a lightning bolt past your head.
Everyday things.
Interesting.
Really.
Oh, yeah. Completely normal.
All right. So, next question. What is your favorite scene from the book and why?
Oh, I'm like, that's really difficult because I wrote it. So all of them. No, actually, my favorite scene is where the character that I honestly named after myself, and I'm a water sign, so it only seemed appropriate that her ability was the ice manifestation, where she is trying to share a vision because she can't really remember details. So she wanted to let the rest of the group watch it, and she creates a projection screen out of ice from the palms of her hands and just sends that vision through that screen. And that's personally my favorite scene out of all
I like
of them.
that. I haven't gotten there yet. I'm excited.
My husband loves that because he said, I really need to be able to have this ability now, and now I want this ability, and I think I have it when I talk to people. It's really funny.
It seems like it would make things easier.
Oh, yeah.
Excellent. All right. Well, Lou, first question for you. What motivated you in your journey to the world of audiobooks? What made you decide to become an audiobook narrator?
Well, I've done stage theater. I've done some commercials. And I'd also mixed that with a corporate job. And I never really had the time to really focus on voiceover. And I just recently went and decided to do a big career change because I'm retired from corporate life. And so now I have a lot more time to focus on the things that I truly love. And I'd always been told, wow, you have a very interesting voice. And I would be told that from people that would, work aisles and aisles and way, way, way away from me on the floors I worked at in corporate. And I was also asked by church members, could I please be one of the lectors for our local church? And so I did, and then they wanted me for a passion play and all this other stuff. And I would just, it was funny. I would be just in, I remember I was in like an office store where they provide office services. I was just explaining to the person behind the desk, what I wanted. And there's some person way, way, way down the line said, "Oh my God, you should be on radio," and that was very, very funny. So
I like that.
and I'd always gotten that. So I decided to take some formal training, and it started in San Francisco. And they did all sorts of training with long narration and short commercials and whatnot. I got an agent and all that. And then I moved to Fort Lauderdale, where I am now, and decided, okay, well, I'm just going to really focus right now on audiobooks. And yeah, like I was saying earlier, this is like the fourth or the fifth one.
Nice. Well, congratulations. I think you're very well suited for it. And I also love Fort Lauderdale. So points there.
Yeah, it's very cool. I really
beautiful
enjoy
down
it.
there.
Yeah.
All right. Question 2 for Dianah. After having women narrators in your past audiobooks, what made you decide to go with Lou this time?
Well, in the beginning, the audiobooks that I, released before Still Evil were all first person point of view with a female protagonist. So it seemed like it was really just the only fit. And I had one that was also a third person point of view, but the main character was female. And again, I couldn't really see deviating from that at that point. But I have a friend who got me started with audiobooks in the first place. He is a truck driver, and he was also active duty military overseas. Both professions where audiobooks is how you get your literary fix. And he prefers male narrators. And he said, I'm just going to go out on a limb and tell you, you need a male narrator for at least one, just one. So when I got Still Evil ready, I kind of opened it up to, male and female. I'm just going to kind of see what we had there. But when I got Lou's audition, his was actually the first I got. And like, I could really see this working. So I downloaded the audition, sent it to my friend and said, "Hey, is this what you're looking for?" And he said, "Yes, go with that. Just take it down. Give it to him. Don't do anything else."
Yes.
So I actually didn't pick Lou. My friend who got me started with audiobooks did.
Well, there you go.
I'm so glad he did, because it turned out fantastic.
Excellent. Actually, speaking of the Still Evil stuff, do you see this story becoming a series, and if so, why? What ways would you like to see these characters grow?
It is a series. It is planned for 5 books. It is a 5-book series, and I am probably halfway through book 2 right now.
Woo!
Rough draft phase. And it's going to get really epic. I don't want to go into spoilers, but what our characters have gone through in book 1 is child's play compared to what is about to happen in book 2, 3, 4, and 5.
Okay.
That's no small feat.
No.
That's no small feat.
Mm-mm.
All right. Well, this actually leads in perfectly to the next question for Lou. What about Still Evil: The 9 Gates drew you in and made you say, yes, this book, this project is for me?
Yeah. Well, I think it was the audition segment. When I saw that, I read through it to myself, and I felt like, wow, this is written very atmospheric. It opens up on a dark street, and there's been a crime that has happened. I'm not going to give away too much in the opening, but it just draws you right into the atmosphere of this small southern town. And I auditioned for it, and I actually loved just the feeling I got when I read it. It connected with me. And for me, I love going with things that just feel natural. And as so just from that small segment, it drew me in, and I auditioned. And then when I saw a larger piece of the chapters and a larger segment, it was the stream of consciousness of the characters seemed so natural and real that there wasn't a lot of interpretation I had to do for myself. It was kind of written in with what Dianah had already written for the characters. So it was easier to build the characters, and there was something very human about them as well. So very relatable to everyday people. The same kind of concerns, same kind of thoughts, connections with family, etc. So it was a very natural read for me.
Excellent. I agree. I listened to the first 2 chapters and then realized I was sitting in the parking lot at work going, I have to go inside, but I want to know what happens. So I agree with that entirely. It just immediately draws you in and you have
Right.
to know what happens. All right.
Right.
Next question to you, Dianah. What inspired you to write this story?
A joke. It was really a joke. In 2008, I met what would become my quartet of people. Paige, Chris, and Tim are real people. And we were a group of 4 who became best friends over a Final Fantasy VII victory song ringtone.
Yes.
They were at one end of the restaurant I worked at, and the sound went off, and I didn't think about keeping my mouth shut. I just happened to scream Final Fantasy VII across there, and we were best friends ever since. But they inspired me to get back into writing. I had thrown writing away. I was never going to do it again. I had written my first book in rough draft form 3 times, and every time, somehow it ended up burned. So, literally burned. So, I just was not going to do it again, and they inspired me to do so. Well, one of them, I believe it was Chris, happened to just make the joke of, you should make us superheroes one day. And I was like, I could probably do that. And so I started working on it, and I was like, wow, this is really actually going somewhere. Because it was
Nice.
going to be written just for fun for the 4 of us. And no, it eventually evolved into a 5-book outline.
And now here we are. I love it. How do you know a novel, actually this is perfect. How do you know a novel that you're writing is ready? And who is your sounding board?
Paige is my sounding board for the majority of my books. She's my editor. She's the one who goes through everything meticulously, with her grammar Nazi eye. And I know they're ready when she threatens to kill me if I touch it ever again. Because I will finish it and I will send it to her. And as soon as she has it, while she's reading it, I'll start thinking about a scene, and I'm like, I don't like the way that goes. Or like Achievement by Possession, one I just released, it has like 9 different endings. And she threatened to kill me over that one too. A true friend. Yes. So when she tells me you need to stop before you mess it up, I know I need to stop.
That's fair. All right. Next question for Lou. Let me see. What was your favorite aspect of working on this production?
Well, I think that one of my favorite ones, and this has always been true with any kind of job I've had, is the people you work with. And so I really enjoyed working with Dianah. She'd be very responsive. She was very caring and passionate about the work, and she was also very understanding and very supportive of me as a narrator. In the very beginning, when you're trying to do character development, you sometimes go and take a shot at something. And sometimes you hit a bullseye, sometimes you don't. And Dianah was very supportive and going, well, this one character, I don't see her like that. And you've given her a very kind of feminine voice. It was feminine, I don't know, feminine B. Arthur type of voice. but She said, no, it actually is more tomboyish. And so that's what I did. And there were some other touches too, and direction that she gave me with some of the other voices, which was very much appreciated. And it just made it so much more fun for me, because when Dianah would really like a chapter and how it was done, that made me feel really good and energized to really perform the next one and kind of really try to impress her that way. And then we had that type of a rapport. And so that's what made it the most fun. Of course, the subject material is fun. And me as a narrator, I'm just like everyone else. It's like, okay, where's this going to go? And you can give a book a quick read, but when you're actually in the chapter and you're performing it, you get wrapped around it in a whole different way. You experience it in a whole different way, and that's fun. That's fun. So anyway.
That's awesome. All right. Dianah, some authors imagine their stories adapted for TV, theater, or movies. Do you?
I do. I do, and I'm working on a few things, and that's all I can legally say.
Then we'll leave that at that. All right, next question for you. We all enjoy positive reviews, but the entertainment industry, which fiction writing and audiobooks fall within, however, what is your favorite constructive criticism that you've received, and how did it help you?
Well, my favorite constructive criticism, so far really hasn't come through my official reviews that are on Audible. My favorite constructive criticism actually comes from memories. And I hope you don't get all teary-eyed, but there are moments where I will think about what I'm reading, and I know it's not my best. And I think back to a point where someone told me that I had to find the right moment to find that focus and put myself into it. And that obviously I didn't write that at that moment. So I think back on those moments. That was your grandmother.
Yep.
Chewing
Yep,
my
she was an
butt
awesome
for those
lady.
chewing my butt for those little pictures of fairies flying over houses that I would draw in the middle of math class because I absolutely hated math.
This is very true. This is very true. All right. I have a message here. Hang on. Okay, we're good. All right. So next question is for Lou. What is your greatest challenge as a narrator?
Well, I think that the greatest challenge is sometimes the character voices and how they should sound. As with a lot of male narrators, male voices come so much more easier for me. Especially with this kind of a deeper voice, it's sometimes if you try to sound real high, you sound a little campy. So you can't alter it that much and have it still sound real. So with me, what I do is alter the voice just a little bit. It may be the pace, it may be the way certain words are said. I try to do it a little bit with pitch, but I think that developing the character voices so they sound natural and real. Also, it's sometimes an editing feat when you've got a conversation going on, and it's between two wildly different types of voices and approaches. And so you want to have the pace kind of follow what you would experience real time. So, but it takes time to change the voice and dip into or raise it to what the other character is. And so sometimes that quick exchange is sometimes a challenge. And I try to, as best I can, use editing to try to get it more precise to what I want. So I think that's a challenge.
That's fair. Also, I have the strong editing feels as someone who does videos on YouTube and like a podcast.
Right.
I feel you on the editing. I feel you.
Well, yeah.
I sound so much better edited than I do live.
Well, the interesting thing, and I don't know if a lot of listeners out there know this, we in the field where we're producing these types of things do know about it, but there is performance time, and like you could be listening to an audiobook that is 10 hours long. It's 10 performance hours. That's how long it's going to take you to listen to it. However, to produce it, that means preparing it, recording it, editing it, proofing it, multiply it by 6.
Yep.
Take it, and you've got 60 hours of your life that you've thrown in. And that's under the best of circumstances, because you really should be like Dianah and I were. I develop a chapter, do all that kind of stuff. I get a production quality so that she could listen to it. And then she may or may not have feedback. Then that needs to be incorporated into it. Now, Dianah made it very easy because she would tell me exactly the time, the minute, the second, the millisecond, whatever, where there needed to be a correction. And that makes it so much easier.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Right. Yeah.
Nope, I feel you on that one. And you did a very good job. I'm very appreciative of it.
I relay that information the way I would expect someone to send it to me.
You do a great job.
When Paige is doing my editing, she'll go, I'm not really sure how this is flowing here on, chapter such and such, page 69, paragraph 2, line 3. And I'm like, you know what? That really helps me. So I'm going to do this way. Send it to my narrators this way.
Right.
It just makes things go faster and more smoothly, and you get a better product at the end.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
It
All
definitely
right.
does.
For Dianah, this is perfect segue. What did you enjoy about your work with Lou?
I loved how he was completely open to everything. I'm that type that I don't like confrontation. So the biggest thing that will send me into fear is having to tell someone they did something wrong. I'm telling you, the first time I had to write my first rejection letter on ACX, I was horrified. I actually had to call a friend and go, how do I do this? I hated getting these from publishing houses. How am I going to do this? And she said, make it sound like you didn't write it. Boom, done.
I love
I'm not
it.
even going to lie. But I love how easy he was to work with and how he was so open, and he understood that criticism was constructive criticism, because it was to make my book stand out better and make his narration stand out better so that it became our project. And I love the fact that he understands that once I have narrators who take on these projects, it's no longer my book, it's our book, because they have to put just as much care and focus into it as I did, because they're not just reading.
Right.
They're doing so
Actually,
much.
That pretty much answers the final question is, did it feel like you were a team producing this audiobook together, and how so? Like, I think the answer is obviously yes to that one.
Oh, definitely a yes. Definitely yes. We talked
Awesome.
about every single chapter. So there were times we had 2-hour-long phone conversations about this book.
That's awesome. All right, last question for individual, and then I have a couple for the both of you. Lou, Seal Evil, as we have officially learned, is a 5-book series. Are you in for the long haul?
That's a loaded question. Well, no, I think that, my gosh, Dianah gave it such a plug as far as this. It was child's play with the first one. The rest of it's going to be even more incredible. I would be very interested in seeing how the story develops and becomes even more sensational. I would be, and there's a lot that goes into a decision like that for the long haul. It's I'm sure that you can relate to it. It's production time, and what's that production schedule look like? And there's other things coming onto the plates constantly. When you find someone that you really like working with, you look for opportunities in which to work with them in the future. So I would hope to be in it for the long haul, whatever the long haul looks like. That we probably still need to work out, and what, is what's going to be a good fit for both of us. But I would be very honored to, consider doing it for the long haul, whatever that looks like. So
Awesome.
yeah.
All right. So this question was technically submitted for Dianah, but I like it so much, I'm going to ask you both. What outside of writing or narration brings you guys the most joy? What is something that you would want your audience to know about you personally?
Oh, wow. A lot of things actually bring me joy. I am one of the people who can find joy in the small things. One of my greatest is my family. They are my inspiration, my motivation, everything. I grew up in a small southern town where everyone knew everyone, and family is the most important thing to me. So, that's where a lot of joy comes from. That's where a lot of my motivation comes from, just relationships in general. You find that my friendships don't really stay friendships. They all become family. And that's what really brings me the best joy, that and being able to help people. I am nowhere near the caliber of Stephen King or Lord Hamilton. I'm a long way from there, but my biggest goal is to be able to help others. The number one goal. So that's what brings me joy.
What about you, Lou?
Well, that explains why Dianah and I are friends, because actually helping people has been a major theme in my life. I think, just like Dianah was saying, relationships play a big, big part of my heartbeat every day. My partnerships, my family, the work colleagues that I have, long friends I've had for 40 or more years. That's all something I cherish. I have a best friend that I've had for about 40 years. I just love, he lives over in, pick the time of year. He's either in Puerto Vallarta or he's in Chicago or he's someplace else. But we pick up the phone or we text each other on a daily basis. It's so much fun because it's just, what's going on in our lives and what we're feeling about it. Not just, this is the itinerary or the diary of what I did, but really what changes in our life are we going through? That's the relationship guts, So I think that is very important to me. But when I started off in college, it was for psychology. And the reason being is I wanted to help people. But there was no jobs at the time when I went to college that you could just slip into psychology. Actually, the very first degree that I got was in radio and TV communication. It was a 2-year thing. But again, and the thing that drew me to that was there was a local radio show in the morning, Margaret in the morning, I remember it. And he would sing the school lunches that would happen locally in the districts, but he would crack me up every morning and make me feel so good. And I thought, wow, if I could make others feel that way. Well, of course, that was kind of like a dead end too, because the only jobs that you could get were like graveyard shifts. And at that time where I'd gotten that 2-year degree, things were kind of, the radio and TV industry was really going through some huge changes. So what I ended up with was I got a computer science degree, started work at Hewlett-Packard, and what did I gravitate towards? Helping others understand technology. So it was training, it was marketing, it was sales, but it was always to try to help someone's life get better. And then from there, I went into another area, which was very much helping people, and that was change management. So it was in corporations where people, their jobs were changing. They were afraid of losing their job. They had new people to report to. They had new business processes they had to work through. They're scared. And so it would be training and communication, bringing them along that way. So I think helping people is knowing that, like, for instance, this audiobook, so many people get some pleasure out of, that means a lot to me. I had this one reviewer and she said, I just love this. And I just can't wait for another book to come out along these lines because this is my genre. I love this stuff. And that made me feel great because I made her day, well, with the help of Dianah's words, more enjoyable. And she just zipped through this thing. So that's what I really like. I like making a difference and making someone feel better and maybe lightening their load in some way.
Heck yeah. Sounds like you're in the perfect line of work.
Yeah.
So, sort of finally for the both of you, in this modern world where content creation is becoming a more viable, independent living every day, as a podcaster, I really like these submitted questions and feel them on a very spiritual level. I will tell you guys that. So I've left these two to last because I think that they're very important and I would like you both to answer them. How can your audience help you be successful? Basically, how can your audience help you, Dianah, be successful as an independent author? And Lou, how can your audience help you succeed in narration and things like that? So,
Well, the biggest challenge that we have, honestly, for authors as well as narrators, I believe, is the reviews. We need those reviews to come in. And, Amazon and Audible, even if you're getting free promo codes or you catch one of my Kindle editions on a free promo week, write those reviews, on Amazon, on Audible. If you follow my page, write the reviews there. Just comment, give us the praises that that you feel we deserve. It's great to tell us in our inbox, and don't get us wrong, we love to see it, but at the same time, we want everyone else in the world to see that you felt that way as well. And that is a huge help for us. So talk about us. Don't just tell us how much you love us, tell everybody else. And once you do that, we'll grow.
okay, Lou?
Yeah, very much like what Dianah just said. The one thing I would layer into it, and I think this is always sometimes a challenge for someone who's writing a review. Because I'll read some reviews and I'll just go, that's great. They love us, but why? Or I'll hear something where maybe they're trying to structure it as constructive criticism, but it doesn't come off that way, and you're left wondering, scratching your head, going, "Wait a minute, what do they mean, and how could I use that constructively?" And I just saw this, and it's fate that had it come right back to me right before today. But it was something that I experienced. This best friend that I told you about, he had pulled me into this one company he was working with, and he wrote something to his employees that really touched me. And within the corporate world, as in any walk of life, feedback is a really important thing. We all, like Dianah was saying, we grow from it, right? But it's the most effective feedback I have found is if it follows three filters, if it can go through three filters. One is it truth? Is it truthful? Is it helpful? We were talking about helpful a little bit earlier, like, for instance, how Dianah was very exact with the timing and
Right.
how precise she was. If you're hearing something in the audiobook that could be improved, try to be more specific with what you're trying to put out there. That way, it's going to be more easily used. And then the final filter is it kind? You know, we're all human beings, right? And when we receive feedback, it's so much easier if it's got if it's wrapped in kindness. If you know that the intent is, I care about you. You're a stranger out there, but I care about you and how you receive what I'm going to give you. So let me put it in a little bit of a wrapper of kindness. And I'm going to be as definite as I can be with what the feedback is. And then I'm going to step back a little bit before I push the send button. I'm going to go, was I in a good mood when I heard this? Was something going off sideways in my day? Was this truly how I felt, and why? And you put it through those three filters and you hit the send button. That is the most helpful type of feedback that you could ever give to anybody, whether it's a book review, whether it's an argument that you're having or disagreement with your partner, whether it's some guidance you have to give to your child. If it's got those three filters, they're going to embrace it and you will make a difference. So that's what I would add. Feedback is very important. Of course, buy the books. And if you have an opportunity to go, yeah, I love it, make it known. Write a review or put in something nice on Dianah's webpage or whatever, where you can put in comments, but spread the word. Tell your friend, hey, check this out on Audible. That is all very helpful. So
yes, I agree with all of that. I've always heard, I love your filters, and I'm never forgetting those. Like, that is, I now have a way to verbalize it, and I love it. So thank you for that.
It's so helpful for me because sometimes I'm so angry when I hear somebody, especially, in today's world, it's so easy to just fire off on somebody. But take a deep breath, bring it in, and then put it through those filters.
And you have gold.
Well, you know what? You'll never regret what you say.
I love that.
Never.
I do love that. That is actually poetic.
And I have always heard, I know, so you have your three filters, and then I have always heard with content creation, authors, narrators, anything out there, YouTube, podcasts, whatever it is that you love, tell two friends and tell them to tell two friends. So if you love the book, if you download it, listen to it, read it, whatever you do, if you love the book, then tell two friends and tell them to tell two friends, because that is how the word gets out.
Networking.
Yes, networking.
Word of mouth is the number one that has never changed when it comes to networking. A word of mouth is the best form of advertisement. And another thing about the reviews is a lot of people I found don't want to write a review because they are kind and they don't want to tell you that they didn't like it. But here's the thing, even your negative reviews are helpful. Mm-hmm. I have one reviewer who I'm not going to quote it, but I can paraphrase. Lou made the book for him, not my writing. And because he said the story was cheesy, but the narrator made it bearable. So, and I mean, like I said, when I first started writing this, I didn't intend to have it published. I mean, I might have went ahead and got a copyright and maybe sent it through a vanity press or whatever just to get some hard copies for the people in it. But, he said the story was cheesy, but Lou made it bearable. So
there you go.
Even the negative reviews, that helps.
I don't remember that review quite like that. they make it
it's very, very close.
They like the story enough there. So, I had to have something to work with,
Well, it is one of my most faithful reviewers. They are on it. I send them a promo code, and within 72 hours, I've got something. Wow, so. Cool. But yeah, which I actually was entertained by that review. I really was. And there were some really cheesy points, but you don't know Chris.
No, yeah. Well, that has brought us to the end of our questions. Thank you very much, guys, for taking the time out of your evening to do the interview and to join me and have all this fun time. I have very much enjoyed our conversation. For those interested, my podcast is That Spooky Life, and you can find it on Spotify, Google Cast, and anywhere you can pick up your podcast. You can also find it on Anchor FM. If you have enjoyed these conversations about Seal Evil, The Nine Gates, Dianah has her own website, and I believe it is abernathybooks.com.
Yep.
Go ahead and plug yourself, girl.
Yeah.
Plug yourself and all your
website,
Facebook stuff.
The website is abernathybooks.com. The website for the Facebook page is facebook.com/abernathybooks. So either one of those places will direct you right to it, but I do have an audiobook tab on my website that will take you straight to Audible if you click on that title.
Excellent. And Lou, go ahead and plug your stuff.
Okay. Well, if you're interested in hearing more samples of other books or even information and news about this one and the other audiobooks I've done, it's Petrella Productions. God, I can't even say it myself. Petrella Productions. See, I am a voiceover artist. It's PETRELLA and then productions, all one.com. And you can also get me on Facebook, and that's under, I wrote it down there, Miranda. Do you have it there?
I am looking now. My computer crashed, and I'm really happy that I'm still in the meeting.
I think it's
his
Lou
Facebook
Petrella
page.
Productions.
Yes, his Facebook page is Lou Petrella Productions.
Yeah.
So
I try to mirror both of them a little bit. But if you want to send me a message or even request that I do something for you, a piece of work for you, there's a request form on the PetrellaProductions.com site. So I'd be very happy to see anything that comes in through that.
Excellent. And you have an upcoming mystery thriller and a self-help audiobook coming out too?
Well, I did the self-help one, and that was prior to Dianah's book. And that I thought was very good. It's about self-confidence. It's by a publishing house called Perfect Self. So if you go into audiobook or you go into Audible and you look up, self-confidence, and then you also do Perfect Self, it should come up in my name, Lou Petrella. And I would highly recommend that because I just love the way it kind of put out a lot of pointers for daily habits on how to build your self-confidence, your self-esteem, and it was great. And then there's an upcoming book called The Tear Collector, and it's about it's again life in a very small town. This one, it's an Appalachian town, and it involves these small boys, 5 years old, and then they follows them through their life as they get older, but they're all kind of plagued with a horrific accident that happened where the woods were set on fire, their fort was set on fire. Somehow it's also connected to this autistic girl getting lost and nobody can find her. So it involves a detective and a mystery, and it's got a little bit of a supernatural element going through it too. And it's a lot of fun to read and to narrate. So I believe that will be coming out like in the May timeframe.
Perfect. Well, I know I'm going to be keeping an eye out for it, and everybody watching absolutely should too. Speaking of, Dianah, do you have anything that you would like to talk about upcoming other than the fact that we know it's going to be 5 books for Seal Evil now?
Well, I do have Achievement by Possession just launched on Audible a few days ago. That's a nice little, creepy supernatural thriller. If you want to, find out why the #1 author suspicion is no one can read an unfinished manuscript or it'll never be finished, that's the book you go to find out why we say that.
Excellent.
Which does not hold true for me, by the way. I found I actually don't finish manuscripts nobody reads along the way. But it's still a great concept.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, that covers all of our questions. Again, thank you guys very much for your time. Also, for you guys watching, please check out both the Dianah and Lou's stuff. I'm a huge fan, obviously, so I am in full support of it. Send them messages, check out their work, and let them know below what you thought. So I think that would be awesome. Guys, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank
And
you, Miranda. You
you're
did
Thank
welcome,
such
you
a
so
Lou.
much.
marvelous job. Thank you.
You're sweet. I hope that I get to interview you guys again in the future when the next Seal Evil book comes out.
All right.
We'll definitely put that on the calendar.
Perfect. Have a good night, guys.
Good night.
You
Take
too.
care.
Bye.